Welcome to the Politicrat. I'm Omar Moore. It is Monday, February the 22nd, 2021. On this edition of the Politicrat, the confirmation hearing of Judge Merrick Garland. 5 years late, but better late than never. A few thoughts about what is happening during this hearing and on Judge Merrick Garland coming up next.
We march today for jobs and freedom, but we have nothing to be proud of. But hundreds and thousands of our brothers are not here, for they're receiving starvation wages or no wages at all. While we stand here, there are sharecroppers in the Delta of Mississippi who are out in the field working for less than $3 a day, 12 hours a day. While we stand here, there are students in jail on trump-up charges. Our brother James Farmer, along with many others, is also in jail. We come here today with a great sense of misgiving. It is true that we support the administration's civil rights bill. We support it with great reservation, however. Unless Title III is put in this bill, there's nothing to protect the young children and old women who must face police dogs and fire hoses in the South while they engage in peaceful demonstration. In its present form, this bill will not protect the citizen of Danville, Virginia, who must live in constant fear of a police state. It will not protect the hundreds and thousands of people who have been arrested upon Trump charges. What about the 3 young men, Snickfield Secretary in Americus, Georgia, who face the death penalty for engaging in peaceful protest? As it stands now, the voting section of this bill will not help the thousands of black people who want to vote. It will not help the citizens of Mississippi, of Alabama and Georgia, who are qualified to vote but lack a 6th grade education. One man, one vote is the African cry. It is ours too. It must be ours.
I think what you're trying to ask is why am I so insistent upon giving out to them that blackness, that black power, that black pushing them to identify with black culture. I think that's what you're asking. I have no choice over it. In the first place, to me, we are the most beautiful creatures in the whole world, black people. I mean that in every sense, outside and inside. And to me, we have a culture that is surpassed by no other civilization, but we don't know anything about it. So again, I think I've said this before in the same interview. I think at some time before, my job is to somehow make them curious enough or persuade them by hook or crook to get more aware of themselves and where they came from and what they are into and what is already there, and just to bring it out. This is what compels me to compel them, and I will do it by whatever means necessary.
John Lewis and Nina Simone. Those voices are the ones you just heard. And I mention them because, shame on me, I neglected to mention them yesterday, completely forgot yesterday to mention them. I was doing the tribute and remembrance of Malcolm X, who had been assassinated 56 years ago yesterday, and did not, in my focus on Malcolm, talk about the fact that there were at least 2 birthdays yesterday for very well-known and honored and respected legendary people. So I figured it would be better to do that now since I remembered it today at the first opportunity. And those are the birthdays of Nina Simone, the High Priestess of Soul, and of the one, the only American hero, icon, statesman, civil rights activist, John Lewis. Both of them, Congressman Lewis and Nina Simone, shared a birthday. Both were born on February the 21st. And neither of them are with us today, but their work, their legacy, their music, their activism, and both were activists, lives on. Their activism lives on. So a happy belated birthday to the High Priestess of Soul, Nina Simone, and to an American hero, statesman, activist, icon, Congressman John Lewis. I hope that very soon Congress passes legislation for the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, which is sorely needed. This is something we all, by the way, can lobby right now. Lobby the Congress to do this. You can call them at 202-225-3121. You can also call 202-224-3121. One other thing I want to say at this point, the Politicrat Daily Podcast online store is open for business 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All you have to do is go to the-politicrat.myshopify.com. And there are products that I have designed, yours truly, that are being added on an almost daily basis. I have been getting things together and teasing on Twitter at the Popcorn REEL. Some of the products that have been coming in, that have been shipping out as well. And there are more. So please check out the store right now and buy, purchase. There will be more products coming. And by the way, they're not going to be just t-shirts alone. I think if you take a look around the store, you will see that there are more than just t-shirts, and there will be more other things than t-shirts added in the future. So please patronize the store. And I really do appreciate your support already. And please spread the word about the Politicrat Daily Podcast online store. And more t-shirts just today, actually. Ted Cruz t-shirts, Cruz Lose t-shirts were added, and I will provide a link to the store and to the particular brands that were added. Also the 5 Alive shirts, the Think, Write, Live, Love, Vote shirts that have been a hot seller. Those are the ones that are getting the most traction. Very popular shirts right now. So please do your part. Spring is coming. Spring is coming. So please do patronize the store and get some of this lovely merchandise designed by yours truly at the-politicrat.myshopify.com. You can also go to thepoliticrat.com as well for the homepage, and you will see the online store there as well. When you scroll down just for a few seconds, you will see it right there. It will only take a second to scroll down, and there the store is. Thank you very much. So this day is one that, it's Monday, the last Monday in February. I mean, this month, of course, it's the shortest of the year, and it's gone by really fast. We have hit a very grim milestone here before I get to Judge Merrick Garland. we've hit a very grim milestone in this country, the United States, of 500,000 people. 500,000 people have died from coronavirus in just under a year in the United States. It is an atrocity of such massive scale and proportion that it is very difficult for one to get one's head around it all. The only people who can really understand this loss are the people who've suffered loss in their lives, and the people who have actually lost someone to this virus, or to anything, like I said, to any loss in life, where you've lost someone that you love, that you know, that you were married to, whomever that might be in your life. These are the people who really understand what loss is and what 500,000 people dead really is. I mean, take it on an individual scale. And I'm not saying that people who haven't suffered loss, a person dying in their life, I'm not saying that the people who haven't experienced that do not understand this. I'm just saying that the people who understand this most and most acutely are the people who have actually lost loved ones in their life, whether it's to this virus, whether it's to cancer, whether it's to breast cancer, whether it's to any kind of thing, prostate cancer, heart disease, heart attacks, gun violence, domestic violence, whatever that might be. Those of you who have lost somebody, whether it's death by natural causes, you understand what it is like, and you understand what it means when someone's life is no longer part of yours because they have been taken by whatever that form is, gun violence, whatever, or this coronavirus. This is so grievously painful. And I think the way I look at this, and the way I think people could look at this, is to take each individual of those 500,000 people and think about how that one person who is lost affects everybody who knows that person, who knew that person, everybody who knew that one person who died from coronavirus, everybody in that person's circle, whether it's family, whether it's intimates and loved ones, whether it's friends, whether it's anybody who ever knew that one person. And then just do it again and again and again and again. You don't have to do this with saying, well, put 5 football fields of 100,000 people in them together, and that's your loss. You don't have to go there. We don't have to do it that way. Let's just take one person. One person. And think about the impact of that person dying from coronavirus or anything else. And measure how much devastation that causes, that kind of pain that one person's death causes, that comes in a family, to that extended family of that person. Just think about that one individual. And then think about it for another separate individual. And just take it one person at a time. I know that sounds awful to say, but I mean it. One person who died, and then another person who died. Think about the impact. Those of you who know, You know, you don't have to even listen to me talking about this, because you know, and you know well, what it means to lose someone in your life. Lose them. I'm not talking about goodbye, I'm not with you anymore, or we're going to get divorced, or we're no longer friends, or I disowned you, which is horrible enough. Disowning a member of your family, especially specifically when it comes to, oh, they're transgender, so you don't want to deal with them anymore. Oh, they're gay. Oh, they're bisexual, so you don't want to deal with them. I'm not talking about that, as heinous as that is. As heinous as that is. I'm talking about when you've lost someone and they're never, ever going to ever be able to call you again because they are no longer here. They are dead. You know what that pain is. You're probably still feeling that pain. That pain never, never fully goes away. So instead of people on TV putting up, oh, imagine 5 football fields. No, it doesn't have to be a stinking football field. It doesn't have to be sports related. As sports nutty as I am, as a sports nut, as crazy about sports as I am, no, we don't need to put football fields together to measure the impact of a human being's loss to that person's family, that person's circle, that person's community. We need to just look at one person and just think about them for a few moments in your busy life. Think about them. For those of you who haven't lost someone, think about for a few moments that impact. Think about it for another person and another person. One person at a time, which is why I've always said that we should be honoring, I should say certainly respecting, the families of all those lost and honoring these individuals who have died, these 500,000. And I know that President Biden has been doing that, and the Biden administration has been doing that. They've been very respectful and tasteful around that. The planting of American flags across the mall, I believe it is, across the lawn in Washington, D.C. And I think we need more of that. We need to have faces behind these flags, though. We need to have faces and names, because this is a global pandemic, a global, this is just 500,000 people. And all over the world, it's over 2 million plus people. I mean, I remember a few months ago, dear listener, back on Memorial Day weekend of 2020. It's only about 9 months ago? 9 months ago. I can't believe that time's gone by so quickly. But 9 months ago on this podcast, dear listener, I was reading to you just some of the 100,000 names. At that point, it was 100,000 people dead in the United States from coronavirus. Now it's 5 times as many. 5 times that number. So I just want to say that we cannot forget. We cannot forget. And yes, there's a new administration now. And yes, we need to make sure that this vaccine or these vaccines get to the people who really need them. The elderly and also Black, brown, Native persons who need them the most, believe you me. They need them the most. And I think that should be opened up in those communities to age groups that are elderly, but also to age groups who are slightly, below that. You've got Black people and Latinos dying, and they're in their 30s, in their 20s. So I think that should be happening. I think we need to, when I say that should be happening, I'm talking about a vaccine should be made available to those age groups in those particular communities, the Native community, the Black community, the Asian Pacific Islander community. They have pretty high rates as well, by the way. And also to the Latino community, Native Latino, Black community, and Asian Pacific Islander. And I'm going to be getting into soon what's been going on in Asian communities with these racist and violent attacks against Asian Americans and AAPIs. I mean, this is horrifying. Oh, around this virus, by the way. Horrifying what's happened. People are being murdered in this country. And it's happening right here in San Francisco, California, as it is nationwide. And we have to keep pushing this administration. And this is another thing to push on, push on. And I know Merrick Garland, the judge, has had his confirmation hearing today. And I'm going to get into that, I promise, in a few moments. But we need to lobby the Attorney General's office. We need to lobby the Biden administration. We need to do this on a local basis as well, obviously. We need to go to local government. We need to go to state government. You can look all of the information up for these things on your computer, if you have one, if you have online access. And please, let's act right now, because we cannot delay. We've got to toughen these hate crime laws, and we've got to strengthen the penalties. And we have to do this now. People are, and it's white people. There have been instances of Black people doing this, attacking Asian Americans, white people doing it, Black people doing it, Latin. This is horrifying. I don't care who's perpetrating this, but it's got to end right now. This has got to end. This has got to end. And it's got to end now. And I would like President Biden to speak about this in a national address. I really would. I would like governors to be speaking about this. I want them to. And I think you should be lobbying them to get up there, make it clear, take a stand. I also want people to engage with their local government, because that's also where this is too. And all politics is local. It's happening here in San Francisco. I am going to be on the phone, or certainly in contact with the local assembly here. I mean, this has got to end. This has got to end. And it's got to end now.
And I'm wondering if you could just conclude by answering the question about your motivation and maybe some of your own family history in confronting hate and discrimination in American history.
Yes, Senator. So, I come from a family where my grandparents fled anti-Semitism and persecution. The country took us in and protected us. And I feel an obligation to the country to pay back. And this is the highest, best use of my own set of skills to pay back. And so I want very much to be the kind of attorney general that you're saying I could become. And I'll do my best to try and be that kind of attorney general.
I believe your heart, and I'm grateful that you are living that mandate.
Thank you, Senator Booker.
That was Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey and the voice of Judge Merrick Garland in a moving moment during the Senate Judiciary confirmation hearings of Judge Merrick Garland to become the next Attorney General of the United States. 5 years after the Republicans under Mitch McConnell in the Senate refused to even grant Judge Merrick Garland a hearing for Supreme Court nomination in the President Obama's administration, in President Obama's administration. 5 years later, here sat Judge Merrick Garland before many of the Senate members who refused him, who refused to even meet with him. Some of the senators who were questioning him today on the Republican side had refused to even meet with him, as is customary. Refused to even meet with him. There were a few Democratic senators who did back in 2016, when President Obama at the time named Merrick Garland as his nominee for the Supreme Court. After, of course, as you may remember, Justice Antonin Scalia, the arch-conservative veteran of the court, had died, literally suddenly died. And President Obama still had almost a year of his term left to serve, his second term in office. And I want to just set this scene for people who may not remember or who may not be aware. And at the time, you heard all this noise from then Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, as the Republicans had controlled the Senate then. And he was bellyaching about, well, you know, we are not going to be seating a Supreme Court justice until the election, and the people have to decide who is going to be the next president's going to be seated. And the people, you know, my voice with Mitch McConnell is just horrible. So I'm going to spare you the agony of listening to any more of it. But that was the posture of a then Majority Leader McConnell. McConnell violated his constitutional oath, Article 1, which is the congressional articles. It's for the legislative branch. Article 2 is the executive branch. Article 3 is the judicial branch. Those are the articles of confederation, articles of the Constitution. And Article 1 is very explicit that the Senate has a responsibility to advise and consent when it comes to the president's appointees. That is a responsibility that Mitch McConnell violated. He violated Article 1. He violated his constitutional oath that he took as a U.S. Senator when he refused to even grant a hearing for Merrick Garland. Judge Garland at the time was appointed, or I should say nominated, by President Obama. And Mitch McConnell refused to even consider him. There was about 11 months left in the term of President Obama. 11 months or so. And I'm sure that at the time, Mitch McConnell knew very well that there was a Russian operation underway, Moscow Mitch, hence the nickname, and that there were things afoot that were being planned and laid out that would get Donald Trump in to steal the office of president, which is exactly what happened, by the way. No one wants to really say that out clear and out loud. He got 3 million votes less than Hillary Clinton. There was enough chicanery to go around and enough confluences of events that occurred that made it clear and obvious to anybody who could see that Donald Trump stole that office. Stole that office with the help of Russia. There's a nearly 1,900 something page report put out by the then Republican-led Senate Intelligence Committee. Richard Burr, one of those 7 Republican senators who actually voted to convict Donald Trump just a week or two ago, was the head of that committee. He was forced to resign from it because, of course, as you know, there was an insider trading investigation on Richard Burr, and Richard Burr, as you know, was cleared of any wrongdoing. This is in the insider trading scandal vis-a-vis coronavirus and stocks being sold in conjunction with the information that all the senators were getting in the briefings. You remember that Kelly Loeffler, no longer in the Senate, and David Perdue, no longer in the Senate. Thank goodness both of them are out. I know that Perdue is planning a comeback to challenge Reverend Warnock, Senator Warnock, for next year. So we've got to get on that right now. But, what I'm saying to you is that Burr was someone who headed this intelligence committee, and they put out a nearly 1,000-page report that talked about all of the Russia machinations and all the interference that they did to get Trump in. And no one, of course, is going to read 968 pages. I get it. But when this news came out, it barely made a blip. And it came out, I think, September or October of last year or whenever it was. And, Ted Cruz is on that same committee. Some of these people who were questioning Merrick Garland today were on that committee. The report is still out there. I don't know if you're going to read it, but I'll look at, if I can find it, I will link to it. But it is still available. I've not read all 968 pages of it either. But I have looked through it. I've given myself about 5 or 10 minutes to look through it, to kind of leaf through it and read some of it. It's quite something. It really is quite something to read. I mean, again, at least the parts that I read, and again, it was not very much that I read of it, but it's staggering and disturbing, but not surprising when you have looked at these previous 4 years, these last 4. All of that is to say that Mitch McConnell violated his constitutional oath. Richard Burr is going to be stepping down from the Senate, I believe, in the next little while. He's going to be resigning. And I'm telling you, in no small measure, it's because of what's happened this last year or so with him. And I bet you that was part of a deal as well, cynical though I am, that he probably is going to be stepping down and not seeking re-election because it's in conjunction with a condition that he not seek re-election because of this probe into his alleged insider trading. And the stuff, he had to resign his committee chairmanship when the Republicans were in power last year in the Senate, when they controlled the Senate. He had to resign from the committee. And he was one of the 7 Republican senators who voted to convict Trump just a week or 2 ago. I think it was a week ago now. A week ago last Saturday that just went by. A week from previous to that. But the point is that Mitch McConnell violated his oath when he refused to allow Judge Garland, a hearing. And that refusal then led to 3 Trump appointed Supreme Court people, justices. I mean, and 2 of them, really, let's be honest, all 3 of them should not even be on that court. All 3 of them. And the thing that Trump is going to be lauded for amongst conservatives is not all the other stuff, the stuff that he did, but the appointment of all these judges. And Mitch McConnell's tied into that. Mitch McConnell actively blocked and violated the Constitution so that he could get more arch-conservative Republican judges, very few of whom are even qualified, and almost all of whom are under the age of 40. Some of them have not even tried a case as attorneys, had no bench experience. That's how sickening and evil this is. But this is how Mitch McConnell wielded power when he was majority leader. And the bottom line is, it now means that all of these judicial federal court judges, they're all arch conservatives. Most of them are. And some 300 plus were put in during these last 4 years. Mitch McConnell has a huge and damaging role in that for the rest of us, because these judges do not represent the values of a vast majority of American people. They don't. And they are anti-choice. They are pro-death penalty. They are anti-immigration. They are anti-voting rights. They are anti-everything. That is what I would call democracy, and I'll put quotes around that word for the reasons that you know I have stressed many times here. So all of that culminates into what we had today. And the audio that you heard really moved me. When I watched that today, and Mitch McConnell probably saw it too. And he and his gang refused to meet with a man who has integrity, a man who has principle, and a man, as you heard, has gone through all kinds of things, and a family who escaped the evil of the Holocaust, the evil, the atrocities, the genocide. His family escaped that. I'm going to play for you again. This is what Mitch McConnell and these Republicans this is who and what they turned their backs on 5 years ago. Let me just roll this again for you. Please listen again to Senator Booker and to Judge Merrick Garland.
And I'm wondering if you could just conclude by answering the question about your motivation and maybe some of your own family history in confronting hate and discrimination in American history.
Yes, Senator. So, I come from a family where my grandparents fled anti-Semitism and persecution. The country took us in and protected us. And I feel an obligation to the country to pay back. And this is the highest, best use of my own set of skills to pay back. And so I want very much to be the kind of attorney general that you're saying I could become. And I'll do my best to try and be that kind of attorney general.
I believe your heart, and I'm grateful that you are living that Micah mandate.
Thank you, Senator Booker.
It speaks very loudly for itself. What you just heard there speaks volumes. Judge Merrick Garland is obviously someone who has a great deal of mercy, compassion, empathy. He's decent. He is not a criminal, for goodness sakes. He is someone who is unimpeachable character. He has top ratings on all the judicial organizations, ABA, whomever you want to talk about. They've all rated him, the reputable organizations of judges, of the bar. He has been right up there in the top at the 100% level. Extraordinary. He has played a role in prosecuting Timothy McVeigh in the Oklahoma City terrorist attack bombing back in 1995. He has been in very important cases. He's a federal judge. He sat with distinction for 25 years as a judge. He is well respected. I believe he's a Republican as well, by the way. He's a moderate Republican, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I think he is. I believe he is. Orrin Hatch, the former senator, when he was senator during Obama's administration, it was Orrin Hatch, the Republican senator of Utah, who recommended to President Obama at the time, Merrick Garland, Judge Garland, as a Supreme Court nominee. And obviously, President Obama listened. So you have a Republican judge, eminently qualified for the position, nonpartisan, calls it right down the middle, balls and strikes, as President Biden loves to say. He loves to say that. President Biden loves to say it. Balls and strikes right down the middle. Call it as I see it. I'm the umpire. And again, I know I used the sports analogies earlier, and I'm not going to do that again. I've just done it here, but Judge Merrick Garland is unimpeachable. The answers he gave today, his poise, his demeanor. His knowledge of the law, his command and his grasp of facts. Facts. My, aren't they lovely things? Isn't it refreshing to hear people talk about facts? Judge Garland is eminently qualified. And you compare his demeanor to Brett Kavanaugh's. Brett Kavanaugh, who sat there and wailed and screamed and pointed and grimaced and shouted at Senator Amy Klobuchar, who, by the way, is the same Senator Amy Klobuchar who questioned Judge Merrick Garland today. She knows the difference between what she saw today and what she saw 4 years ago, 3 years ago with Brett Kavanaugh. Combative, arguing with Senator Klobuchar. He was arguing, well, does your father have a drink? Do you not remember that? When he asked a question of Senator Klobuchar during his own confirmation hearing? And I know Merrick Garland today said, well, I'm not supposed to be asking you the questions, and I apologize. But that was only because Josh Hawley or Tom Cotton, whoever it was of those two, and then also Ted Cruz, contemptuous traitors they all three are. Don't forget, folks, that in 2015, Tom Cotton, again, Tom, Ted, they all sound the same. Tom Cotton of Arkansas, he wrote the letter, the 47 Republican traitors letter to Iran, telling them, there's elections coming up and you really should not negotiate with President Obama. But that letter's still out there too for everyone to see. And it's signed by many of the people, some of whom are on that Senate Judiciary Committee, asking Merrick Garland questions today. And Judge Garland said, I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be asking questions here. But they were asking these silly little hypothetical gotcha questions. Oh, so if a white supremacist should come in and attack and kill 9 black people in the church. I mean, it's as if Josh Hawley and Tom Cotton are signaling for that. They want that to happen. So despicable, these people. So despicable. Honestly. They are. They're despicable. And the system is all about that. Producing people like this. And then voters who are racist as hell. So they're going to vote for them anyway. And they're also miseducated and non-educated. And they sit, some of them, and watch Fox News from morning till night. There is no hope for anyone who does that, who listens to all of these right-wing hate radio people as they drive around. There's no hope for them. There's no hope. You have to write them off. You can't change minds like that. They don't want their minds changed. They don't care to have them changed. They have made it very clear where they stand. Very clear indeed. And that's where you get the Ted Cruzes and Josh Hawleys and the Tom Cottons. Merrick Garland, Judge Garland, in the face of all of this nonsense from Cruz, Hawley, and Cotton. That sounds like some kind of demented law firm. Showed the comportment, the decency, the acumen, and the, dare I say, statesmanship required of that position of Attorney General. And I think that Judge Garland is going to sail through here. I do not think there's going to be much opposition to him. I mean, that's really what I want to say here. I think you'll have less than 5 people vote against him. And and I'm talking about overall when the vote is taken for the whole Senate next week. On Monday of next week is when the final vote in the entire Senate, all 100 senators are going to vote. That's when it's going to happen. It's scheduled for next Monday, a week from today, which will be March 1st, I guess, or whatever it is, March 1st or 2nd, whenever. But it's going to be next week, next Monday. And the Senate Judiciary Committee will vote later this week. It could be as soon as tomorrow or Wednesday. There will probably be testimony from people who know Judge Garland, and I expect that will happen maybe tomorrow. I don't remember know the exact schedule, but there is going to be a vote by the Senate Judiciary Committee this week. And it's fair to say that Judge Garland is going to be confirmed. Ultimately next week he will be confirmed. And again, I think the vote next week, you'll have 5 or fewer. And the usual cabal of Republicans who will not vote for him, like Hawley, like Cruz, like Cotton. Those folks will probably not vote for him. And then, the other radicals there, like Roger Marshall, who just walked in and got his feet wet just last month. That's when he got into the Senate. And Lummis, those people who are brand new, those people. So there are probably about 7 or 8 who will vote against him. But the point I'm making here, dear listener, is that Judge Merrick Garland will sail through this process. I have not a doubt about that. I think he will get through pretty clearly and decisively on the Senate Judiciary Committee vote, which is going to happen this week, as I said. I don't think there should be any issue there. I think Ben Sasse, the Republican, will vote for him. And again, it's a simple majority that's required in both of these votes. The committee vote, the Judiciary Committee vote, simple majority required. That's going to happen. And in the United States Senate, full vote next week of 100 senators, a simple majority is required. And that's going to happen as well. These will not be close votes. Not even the committee vote is not going to be close. Judge Garland will sail through. And he should have sailed through, and he should have had these hearings 5 years ago. 5 years ago. As I said earlier, better late than never. Thank you very much for listening to this edition of the Politicrat. I'm Omar Moore.
Former blind prosecutor of hate crimes, and we need somebody like that to be running the...
I'm asking about the statement. I'm not asking about her as a person. I'm asking about the statement. In the abstract, would someone who has made that comment, would that comment itself be relevant to the question whether that person, having made that statement, should be put in charge of running the Civil Rights Division?
All I can tell you is I've had many conversations with her about her views about the Civil Rights Division, about what kind of matter she would investigate.
What about anti-Semitic comments? Would those be relevant to someone wanting to run?
You know my views about anti-Semitism.
Right.
No one needs to question those.
I'm not questioning your views.
I know you're not, but I'm also want you to know I'm a pretty good judge of what an anti-Semite is, and I do not believe that she is an anti-Semite, and I do not believe she is discriminatory in any sense.